What's up, everybody? This is Dominic DeAngelo of WrestleZone.com. Today's date is November 4th, 2021, and it is the second episode of the MLW Fusion Fight Report. Now, if you didn't hear last week, basically, this is just a weekly recap of what goes on in Major League Wrestling. If you didn't know, I also write for Major League Wrestling, so just kind of added insight. I encourage a lot of you, if you haven't listened to the first episode, to do so if you're not familiar with Major League Wrestling, because I kind of give a little bit of 101 as to why I'm a fan of MLW and why I think it's one of the tightest wrestling products going. I think it is the tightest wrestling product going overall, week in, week out. It's so I give that, and then I also give a recap of what happened last week. But it's a big week this week in MLW. War Chamber is this Saturday at the 2300 Arena in Philadelphia, and the tickets are on sale still. $15 they start off at, and they are still available. So if you're interested in going in the Philly area at a classic arena like the 2300 Arena, which was formerly the ECW Arena, I really encourage you to do so. It's a neat environment there. Typically, I would be there. Just can't do it because of travel issues and work, my shoot job, all that kind of stuff. So not able to make it this time around. But I've been at the past two MLW shows there, and it is an experience, a lot of fun, and just a cool vibe going on there. So if you're able to, go to MLWlive.com and scoop up some tickets if you're able to do so. So anyways, a lot to talk about this week. Before I start off, I think giving a recap of the show itself and a little preview of War Chamber, because I'm going to go over the card, what they have for War Chamber, which, mind you, War Chamber is the one event in a way where it's like, it's a War Games. So five men against 5 men. And that will be a little different just because if you look at it from, they do tapings there as well. So a lot of the tapings that'll go on is Fusion itself, like episodes of Fusion, future episodes of Fusion, and so on and so forth. So it's like a TV taping. It's a good, solid way to, cover all your bases and get some matches and shows lined up, like for episodes to come. That's how MLW does it. It's a really tight and sound way to handle the business, in today's day and age of, immediate access via YouTube, via podcasting, via whatever, and MLW does a lot of different, goes through a lot of different outlets and channels that you're able to watch it, mainly through YouTube, but also they Fight TV now, and as well as they were just on Vice for Fightland. Who knows about what's next for these guys? And to be honest too, I don't know. I kind of like that. I don't know. I like, even if I work for it's like, I kind of, there's an aspect that I enjoy of being in the dark about it, because it's kind of fun to get these surprises and to see what happens. And something else that I was very bittersweet for me, and this is how I'll start off the show this week, is the reported departure of Filthy Tom Lawler. I got to say, Tom Lawler was the guy who got me into MLW first and foremost. I just thought I didn't know too much about him at the time, like say around like 2018, I think it was, but I knew he was like a former, UFC guy, fighter, and everything like that. But I just really liked his personality, and I thought he had a great look. And he was the guy in MLW, and in a lot of ways he always has been. So my first experience going to a Major League Wrestling show was on behalf of WrestleZone. I was in New York City for WrestleMania week, whatever number that was, 34, I think it was. I can't remember. They blend together with the pandemic too. It just all flows through. But I was in New York for that one, and I wanted to cover Major League Wrestling. They had a show at Melrose Ballroom, and I got media access and talked with their social media guy at the time. And he was like, "Hey, who are you interested in talking to?" And Tom Lawler was first on my list. And there's another neat side to that too. And so sure enough, Tom showed up. I chatted with him. Nicest dude. and just he talked about how like he's not a big city guy, he's used to being in Vegas and all that stuff, and likes kind of the open spaces, so it's just a different vibe for him. But basically, yeah, it was very neat to see Tom's travels throughout Major League Wrestling, and he's worn so many hats, to say in a roundabout way, but he's always kept that fighting filthy Tom attitude. And he turned heel against the Von Erichs. He was a babyface at the time. He was like their top babyface at the time during the Battle Riot 2. That's what the show was in New York City, by the way. And yeah, it's just one of my favorite guys in wrestling today, this filthy Tom Lawler. To see what he's done, like I mentioned, I think last week about Filthy Island, it was so funny. And just him being on commentary, what he does with the Daisy Dukes, just like out of this world, like nothing you really see from another wrestler at all. Tom's his own man, and that's what's great about it. And part of it too, when I interviewed him, I might have said this last week too, but when I interviewed him, what I do when I interview a lot of wrestlers, what I started doing was like, hey, give me like 3 songs, like a workout playlist. What's the 3 songs you would choose? Could be from any time, if you're listening to them currently, whatever. Just pick 3 songs, go with them, and I'm gonna make a playlist eventually of all this from all the rest. That was my plan, make a playlist. That's still in my plan, but get all these interviews, get a huge playlist, a workout playlist, and then boom, pop it up on WrestleZone or something like that. And there you go. You got a workout playlist, or at least a playlist to listen to. Anywho, I asked Tom this question. I can't remember the 3rd song he gave me, but 2 of the songs he gave me, and it busted me out. One of the songs from Mulan, the Disney cartoon Mulan movie. And then the second one was the song that that Buffalo Bill plays during the Silence of the Lambs. I just couldn't believe it. It's just such a funny. The guy's awesome. I'm gonna miss him, but we'll get into the show here, and then after that, I'm gonna preview War Chamber. Also, want to talk about a couple other things too in regards to who's gonna be at War Chamber and why it's kind of neat to see that and why it really also, like I said last week, Fusion Alpha embraces the fusion idea of wrestling. Well, War Chamber is really doing that too in a lot of ways. So, but let's get to it. I'm going to go right off my recap that I wrote on MLW.com. If you would like to take a look, you can also see a recap, I think, done by Colin Tessier of WrestleZone.com on WrestleZone.com as well. Doing double plugs, baby. That's how you do it. That's how you handle it. All right, so this week, Cesar Duran kicks off the episode by coming on out to the 2300 arena. And he just is a presence in front of a live crowd. The guy knows how to handle himself. He comes out and he just cuts this promo about saying like, I have this card book tonight, but I could not. He wanted more violence, basically. He wanted more violence. And he asked the renegades of the ECW arena, the 2300 arena, what do they want? Well, the gun blasts go off and out come 5150. I know I'm saying that's so lame. Conan and Danny might do a much better job than what I do, but I got to get used to it. Saying numbers like that, it does not roll off the tongue for me. Anyways, they come out and Conan lays down a promo too, and Conan's always great at this stuff. Cesar accuses him of sniffing glue because they all introduce themselves, like Sliced Boogie, Danny Limelight Rivera, who I love, and Dr. Julius Smokes, who's great. He's a part of the rich history of Major League Wrestling. And basically, Conan's like, no, we're not we're high off of weed, man. And then they just go off. They want a title shot against Lost Parks. And that was, they cut a little vignette last week. Sure enough, Conan takes some digs at LA Park and his boys. And then the family comes out and out go Rivera and Slice Boogie out of the ring and dive on top of him. And a brawl breaks out. Intense, wild, crazy. Finally gets broken up. Boom. Out comes the man of the hour, Filthy Tom himself, with Kevin Coop. And he's like, hey, okay, so it's just Cesar Duran and him and Kevin in the ring. And he's just like, listen, I am man around here, and I haven't been treated like it. I want a title shot. because like he kind of like from a story perspective, Tom won the 2020 Opera Cup, so he had a right to a title shot, basically a world title shot. Well, Duran gave him the National Openweight Championship match. Didn't, Hammerstone beat him, but heck, Tom is trying to find his place here. He is the man in that Major League Wrestling. He's been there forever. Triple Crown winner, only Triple Crown winner. And so Duran's like, no, I will give you a title shot. Is that what you want? All right. Well, you'll go against Mil Muertes. Well, King Muertes. And it will be a casket match. That's not what Tom wants, but that's what Tom's getting. And so the arc throughout this episode is, hey, what is Tom going to do? And how is he going to face King Muertes, this dominant figure that just beat Richard Holiday? And he's got these mystical stuff around him. He's got this past with Duran, everything like that. So really good opening segment. Big fan of it. And I also thought it was just, a good way to kick it off. Like I said, it's what's great about Major League Wrestling is that Duran is such an element that is kind of from the Lucha Underground perspective. Like it was such a wild thing to envision into an environment and to implement that into a sports-like feel that MLW has presented. It's very unique and it's very, very cool and gives it this edge that people really liked Dario Cueto in Lucha Underground. I thought I liked him too. And I remember, I think I watched like the first 2 seasons of it and like just a solid, like what a creepy guy, like giving that vibe. And here he is in Major League Wrestling and it ties continuity. Like I mentioned, comic books last week. Continuity is big in the comic, world. And and same with wrestling. Like to tie that all in together, it gives it another level of storytelling. And that's what wrestling is about, storytelling. And Duran is a great character to have in a story. So here we go. I like the segment. Obviously, you can tell, right? Okay. Anyways, carrying on. Yes. So before the first match starts, the feed cuts. So we're going to get a tag match between the Sea Stars, Willow Nightingale, and Zoe Sky. But the feed cuts and it's Mads Kruger. And if you followed from last week, Mads Kruger and Duran had a little confrontation or conversation, if you will. And Duran was like, hey, kind of sinking his talons in a little bit, saying like, hey, why don't you like look out for yourself a little bit kind of thing. And Mads was like, nah, I'm Contra all the way. Hail Contra. But, I'm my own man, though, too. Yeah, I am a mercenary, basically. Well, here, this feed cuts, and Mads Kruger says he's going to lead Contra into the War Chamber. Well, guess who else is in the War Chamber with him? Jacob Fatu, the former world champ, and Joseph Samael. So, I mean, little tension. And Rich Piccini and Joe Dombrowski both mentioned that. Hey, this is kind of, what does that kind of say about this whole thing? So there's a little strand to think about as we're heading into Saturday here. Anyway, Willow Nightingale and Zoe Sky versus Sea Stars. Good match, and I really like the Sea Stars. They're sisters. It's kind of funny. I was backstage at not Battle Riot, at Fightland, and both of them were there, and I did not know they were sisters. I had no idea. So it's kind of neat to just kind of put that together. It's neat to, me having a brother and stuff like that. It's I'm all for like brother sister tag teams. It's just good stuff. Anywho, Will Nightingale, Zoe Sky, Sea Stars showed a lot of chemistry, obviously being sisters, and that the commentary played into that. Will Nightingale gets drug underneath the ring by Holodead, who came out of nowhere. And she gets put out of the equation. That gives Sea Stars the opportunity to hit their finisher, which is really cool. I want to say it's called the Tidal Wave. Really cool top rope finisher, double team. They get the 1, 2, 3. And then they, being the true sportswomen that they are, go and help Willow out. And so that story continued. And we'll get more into the card of War Chamber coming up, which will have Willow Nightingale versus Holodead. So yeah, good opening match. And then now we have, yes, Alex Kane is claiming Calvin Tankman is out of the Opera Cup, saying he's out, and guess who is the alternate? Me, the Suplex Assassin. And so he's like, I'm going to make the most of it. The Opera Cup's going to be mine. Well, not so fast. Alicia Toot breaks the news that Calvin Tankman's good to go. He's ready to roll for the Opera Cup. So be it, you know? But tonight, Alex Kane has an open prize fight challenge. Anybody across the wrestling world, he's challenging. And who comes out but Warhorse? And Warhorse is such a unique and I just dig his style, man. Like, like he had that indie wrestler vibe and everything like that. But I think he creates a good presence and like just an underrated talent as a wrestler, man. Like if you watch him go in the ring, and this match really epitomized that. He's definitely engaging with fans. It's something that fans can get behind and immediately connect with. And what he does in the ring with Kane is cool. Like, he's a headbanger, and Kane starts banging his head off the turnbuckle. Doesn't phase Warhorse. Warhorse fires back, fights on, gets some opportunities to show his offense and stuff. And he's got great offense. He's got a good, solid offense. And then Kane, master of suplexes, starts suplexing him. Is what's in each King Mo's ringside and flipping up the cards as many suplexes as he has. Well, Alex Kane gets the 5 suplexes and then ultimately gets the win 1, 2, 3 after a little interference from King Mo. So they leave the ring. Alicia Toot confronts both of them on the stage, and King Mo cuts a promo about Cesar Duran and does a D's nuts moment, which is pretty funny. And King Mo's good on the mic. He's really good on the mic. So him and Kane, really good connection there, and they're neat to see together and play a good foil for Calvin Tankman. And so, but what ultimately gets said is that Alex Kane's still going to get the Opera Cup. He doesn't care if Tankman's still the man in the tournament. So wait and see what happens. That is another match that'll be happening on War Chamber at those War Chamber tapings. All right, next up. Yes. So big moment here. And the great moment here. Tom Lawlor and Kevin Koo are backstage, and they're trying to game plan for Tom's casket match tonight against King Mortes. Well, there's a dry erase board in the back, and you can see what Tom has on that dry erase board. It's a car, a tank. What else does he have on there? Oh, a chainsaw and other things. So he's sketching out a game plan. Kevin Koo's like, "What is this? Is that a cactus?" He's like, "No, it's a chainsaw." And Tom's basically like, "Hey, okay, we're going to get in that car, and then we're going to drive off after I put him in that casket, okay?" Kevin Koo doesn't want anything on it. And he basically levels with Tom and be like, "Listen, it's just not working out." So just like it's an upsetting breakup to see. Team Filthy just dissolving right in front of our eyes. Dom Garini's not there. Then you got Kevin Koo. He's master of kicks. He's great at kicking and just has his own unique offense. Just like Tom, I want no part of it, man. The sponsorships are down, and they had the Condom Depot. How do you lose the Condom Depot? Such a bummer. Well, away they go, and Tom is left on his own, a man on his own filthy island, if you will. So, going on, we have. I feel like I missed something. Did I miss something? No, I didn't. Okay, this is a cool segment too. Well, before we get to that, they do the War Chamber Control Center, and a little bit before is like, hey, did Alex Hammerstone make a deal with the devil, because he's got to fill 2 spots in the War Chamber, and rumors are, according to MLW, is that he has corresponded with Cesar Duran about this. Hammerstone gets asked about it, and he's like, "Nah, come on, you think I'd do that?" And he's like, "Nah, it's not happening," like that kind of thing. So wait and see for Saturday. And then we get like the rundown of the card for that, and then it is main event time. Or no, it's not quite main event, because we had Richard Holiday backstage with Alicia too, and there's like some pseudo romantic tension between the two. Obviously, with last week, when was it last week? No, maybe it was 2 weeks ago, when Holiday lost his title to King Mortes. Alicia too was at ringside with Cesar Duran. Obviously Duran's playing mind games with the two after her expose on him, and it's upsetting to see. Holiday just get put in this position where, he's been beat up backstage. He's got to defend his title. He still wants to defend the title. Very babyface kind of move on Holiday's part. He's got the likable. Okay, yeah, that was a couple weeks ago, so I didn't even cover that because last week Holiday's face was all wrapped up and he couldn't really talk. Well, his face was still wrapped up this time around, but it was a little loosened up and he was able to talk. Basically, he tells Alicia that, hey, I got a deal in Japan with a candy company. And he's like, you want to try some of the candy? And Alicia's like, yeah, I'll try some. So he goes over to the storage closet here, opens it up, and who's eating the candy but Tajiri? And kind of a homage back to Tajiri's comedic side in WWE, which was always great. Him and William Regal doing their comedy bits was always great. And so just a little aside there for that. And pretty neat. I was not expecting that, and I liked it. I liked it a lot. So main event time. And I loved this main event. I'm going to say this. You know what? I am going to say this. My favorite casket match ever. I will say it because I liked it. It was so well put together. Everything made sense. I mean, you could go from like, okay, Kamala back in the day Yokozuna back in the day was afraid of caskets. That was the story. But this was just such a well-told story of a guy who, for better or for worse, we have a connection with in Tom. Like, either from a heel perspective, like, hey, screw this guy, or hey, Tom has been with MLW for a long time, and here he goes into this winless situation, it seems, against this somewhat powerful, well, definitely powerful, but somewhat, whether it be mystical powers or however you want to display it, he's got to go against this guy. The man of 1,000 deaths. And so out comes Tom, very despondent, very nervous, very well portrayed. And then King Mortes comes out with a hooded figure. And who is this hooded figure? But it ends up being Carly Perez, who I believe was associated with Mil Muertes in Lucha Underground. So all tying together here. And she has this incense that she's burning on like a stogie kind of thing. I'm sure there's a name for it that I want to say candle, but it's not a candle. But she snuffs it out on the skull, and it's like very powerful to Muertes before he gets in the ring. Bell rings. Tom fights, does the MMA stuff, going after Mil Muertes, fighting for his life. Boom. Muertes spears him off his feet. Such a cool, first few seconds into the match. And just getting obliterated and dominated. Tom's trying to fight, scratch and claw and all that stuff. He's just going at it, man. Trying to make things work. And it's a good fight. They go out. There's a lot of teases of them going into the casket. Tom still uses his MMA background, but the fight spills the outside. He gets a little startled by Carly Perez on that outside with the skull. Just a well-told story. Tom sold fear very well in this match and came across very well and it's just like you feel for it. Like you felt for Tom. I felt for Tom. And, he's fighting for his life, but ultimately, and he gets what a cool moment, like such a neat way to finish the match here. Muertes goes for another spear. Tom catches him in a front guillotine and has him locked in. And, this is Tom's thing, man. He's got it. Well, no, Muertes lifts him up and gives him the straight to hell flatliner. And he rolls him over, closes the casket. Match is over. Is that the last we see of Tom? I think it is. And it's a bummer. But man, what a show. What an episode. So, and now we got War Chamber. Coming up. So, yeah, I like this episode, and I feel like, there's just a lot of unknowns that go on with War Chamber and MLW in general, which is cool. Like, that's the thing. I've talked to Alex Hammerstone before. Several times, but I remember him saying, like, hey, that's a great thing about Court Bauer and stuff is he's full of surprises. He leaves a lot of people in the unknown, like, hey, we got to wonder what's next. And so it's cool to see that. Like, wrestling is very neat and fun when there's surprises. This is not. So it's always neat to see that. And there's reportedly some surprises in store here at War Chamber. Like, there's an article up on WrestleZone. I don't want to spoil it for you guys. You can go on WrestleZone.com. But if you check out some of the news, there's a named star coming in to War Chamber, it appears. And I don't know about the event, the match, War Chamber match, but a part of the event itself. Which, hey, you know what? Let's get to that event. All right, here we go. The full card for War Chamber, at least the card that's announced right now. Obviously, we have the War Chamber match. Alex Hammerstone, EJ Nduka, Richard Holiday, and 2 mystery partners going up against Contra Unit, which I think consists of 2 Sentai Death Squad members, Joseph Samuel, Mads Kruger, and Jacob Fatu. Should be good stuff. Last War Chamber was, what was it? The Von Erichs and Filthy Tom tagging up against Contra Unit, I believe. So, and that was a great match. That told a great story too. That was right before Filthy Tom turned on the Von Erichs. All right. We also have a Philly street fight for the World Tag Team Championship. Lost Parks versus 5150. It's going to be good stuff. These guys already showed they can brawl. LA Park really finds his groove now in the brawls and stuff like that. He's great at it. Like if you get to see MLW super fight between him and Jacob Fatu, man, what a match. Dude, it's crazy. Like Fatu rips his mask. There's blood on both. It's crazy. Great, hard-hitting match. I highly recommend checking that out. But that will be the tag match. Will be good stuff. It'll be interesting to see if they put the belts on 5150 because they are hot. Like if you get to see their vignettes and the promos that they cut, they're such a good chemistry and energy about them. Like Rivera is awesome on the mic. So Opera Cup semifinals, TJP versus Calvin Tank. What's going to happen there? I'm intrigued by that storyline. Kane and all that stuff being the alternate. That's what's neat. So, you know, you have a tournament, you're going to have some backups, alternates. And that's what's neat at MLW does is they make stories out of even that stuff. They did that the last time, too, with Injustice. They were the alternates, and they were upset that they were the alternates. They thought they should have been in the tournament, and they weren't. And so that was a story, too. Brian Pillman, a total story with Brian Pillman Jr., of course, that, and how he persevered through those obstacles of Injustice trying to thwart his path to the Opera Cup. Well, what's Kane up to now? What's he doing? All right. Oh, plus we have this LA Park versus Notorious 1087, the Homicide. Homicide is in the house. That's I just spoke about that. So it's probably going to be Lost Park is going to be LA Park Jr. I could be wrong about this. LA Park Jr. and El Hijo de La Park. And instead, it's going to, so probably LA Park's going to wrestle Homicide just here because they do the Freebird rules, if that was not made clear. Lost Parks goes by the Freebird rules. So they can change whoever, those 3 can pick who they want to defend those titles. Well, this will be going to be a good match, akin to maybe the super fight match that I just mentioned. So good match there. Next up, I'm going to skip this one because I want to talk about this one later on. Willow Nightingale versus Holodead, like I mentioned, with Dr. Dax. Neat aspect of Holodead is she's got Dr. Dax in tow with her as like her pet, and very sadistic / S&M kind of vibe, horror, all mixed in. Really cool stuff. Good contrast to Willow's bubbly and energetic personality, and should be a good match in the featherweight division as well. I like the featherweight division. I think it's a cool aspect, really embracing the certain class that the title that the women fight in. It just adds a unique element. That's not just hey, the women's championship. It's the women's featherweight division. I like it. Very much sports oriented. Here we go. Next up, winner gets a briefcase full of Cesar's cash. Oramis versus Ares. I think this is like it's match 2 that we've seen of them in the MLW, but in a roundabout way, match 3 because they were both in the 4-way for the middleweight title. These guys just line up really well and know one another really well. It's a work of art wrestling to see these 2 wrestle, go at it. They do some crazy stuff, and it's a lot of fun to see. So very much into the lucha aspect of it all, and this will be a fun match. I think this just gives them another reason to wrestle one another. It's good stuff. The Sea Stars will be in tag team action against the Top Dogs. I'm intrigued to see the Top Dogs and see how they do. A new tag team going on. and it'll be cool to see that. Plus, we'll have Warhorse in action again against Casey Navarro. I'm telling you, keep your eyes on Navarro. He wrestled before he signed with AEW. He wrestled on AEW Dark and Elevation, and that guy can go. If you got to see his match a few weeks ago against Gino Medina, holy crap, he's awesome. He's awesome. There's a lot to get behind with Casey Navarro. It's a unique talent, very unique. On the level of like Myron Reed, I'm very intrigued to see that. Heck, who knows who Will Ospreay is going to wrestle? I didn't even mention that. Will Ospreay is coming to MLW when they go to New York City, Melrose Ballroom in December at some point. Will Ospreay will be there. And so there's a lot of cool opponents for the MLW to choose from for him to go up against. It's going to be neat to see. But Casey Navarro would be one intriguing one for sure. For sure. Okay. The debut of Big Beef, Gnarls Garvin. I'm excited to see him. I just watched a couple of his matches here today on Limitless Wrestling. He fought, I can't think of the guy's name. Really good talent, though. Two talents that he wrestled in Limitless. Really, the guy is intense. He's got this old school big man Haas vibe / like Stain Hansen, kind of Trevor Murdoch, kind of like just like this old school vibe to him. But like just he was going to be neat to see. He's going to add a neat dynamic to Major League Wrestling and create a unique opponent for people and just a unique start for him in Major League Wrestling. He'll fit right into the mix just by being himself, and that'll be really neat to see. Stay tuned. There's a little bit more coming for that, I think, on WrestleZone.com. Okay, so I skipped over one match because I wanted to talk about this in regards to who's showing up and why it also leans into the fusion aspect that I kind of mentioned last week is the MLW debut of Enzo. He's going up against Matt Cross in singles action. But Enzo is a polarizing figure in wrestling. And, I've always liked Enzo. I've always liked him. I remember watching him in NXT back in 2013, way back. And just being really intrigued by his ability on the mic, anything like that. And I was intrigued to see him wrestle, but his ability on the mic is what made him him and made him so damn good at what he was doing. And you know what? He caught fire in WWE, caught a lot of fire in WWE. And like, baby, I don't know the details all of what happened backstage or anything like that. What I do know is he was over and like, he got released and, he's still, and he's get this negative pushback on social media that I don't think is very much deserved in a lot of ways. Not at all. I don't think. I think Enzo, I think he's his own guy, maybe, and he's just got a unique personality. He's got a lot of confidence in himself. And again, I didn't mention this on this podcast. I mentioned this on Two Dynamite Dudes, my AEW podcast. It's okay for wrestlers to have an ego. It's important for them to have an ego, I think, in a lot of ways, because you have to get yourself over. You have to believe in yourself. You have to portray a character that's above, that has an air of mystery about them, that has an air of intrigue about them. And Enzo embraces that. And but what makes him a unique and special addition to something like Major League Wrestling is him being him and having that ability to convey himself via promo and via a lot of the outside elements where Major League Wrestling is known for their good wrestling and good storytelling. Now, to put Enzo into that mix is such an added element, almost its own, like, he's his own, like, this kind of seems a little weird, but his own Lucha Underground in a way, because he's his own, like, he's such a unique guy where he's not known for his wrestling. He's known for his promo ability, but he can wrestle too. But to put him into this element of Major League Wrestling, I think is a neat added aspect. And somebody like Enzo should not go understated. Like, we're going to see a resurgence of Enzo. And this could very well be the start of it here. This is Major League Wrestling debut. So I'm an advocate for Enzo. I've always been a fan of him. I know he's polarizing to a lot of people, but heck, if you go on Twitter, there's a sure shitload of negativity, and you can't get wrapped up into it because, I mean, holy crap. Twitter's not a real place. Only takes, I think it's 20% of the population that exists on Twitter. And that's being generous, I would say. But heck, those 20%, 20% of people need to get out a little bit more. We all kind of do. Social media can really wrap you up. But yes, not too good to get it to ride that wave of negativity. And I think, you got to read the room of who's the realest in the room. And I think Enzo's a fun addition to Major League Wrestling. I'm looking forward to seeing what they go down this week at War Chamber. Again, if you're able to go, it's in Philadelphia. Tickets as low as $15. Start at $15. And just go to MLWlive.com. But hey, you know what? If you want more of me, just check out that Twitter handle right below me there at Dominic DeAngelo. You can follow WrestleZone on Twitter at WrestleZone.com. And you can go to WrestleZone.com for all your wrestling news needs. As far as anything else I'd want to plug, I think that'll do it, guys. Yes, I hope you guys are enjoying this. If you do have questions, thoughts, anything Major League Wrestling related, feel free to email me at D as in dog, or my name, Dominic, P as in Paul, DeAngelo at gmail.com. And yeah, just shoot me some stuff. Give me some feedback. I'm more than willing to negative, good. I don't care. I think it's kind of funny when I get really negative feedback. I like it. You got to embrace everything when you're on, the internet, I guess. But yes, send me an email, shoot me a DM. They're open, anything like that. But hey, guys, thanks for listening. Looking forward to seeing what War Chamber has in store. And yes, I will see you next week on the MLW Fusion Fight Report.